All right, hello and welcome. Have you ever found yourself staring at an Arabic word just completely stumped? Is it masculine or feminine? It kind of feels like a puzzle, right? Well, today, we're going to be grammar detectives. We are going to crack the code and figure out how to tell the gender of any noun in Arabic. So let's dive right in.
So let's kick things off with our very first case. Look at this word, kitab. It means book. Simple enough, right? But is it a he or a she when it comes to Arabic grammar? By the time we're done here, you'll know exactly how to figure that out. This is the big mystery we're solving today.
Okay, here's our game plan, our roadmap for this investigation. First, the two types of gender. Then, the easy stuff, natural gender. After that, the real puzzle of grammatical gender, where we'll look for written and spoken clues. And we'll wrap it all up with the final verdict on why this is so important.
All right, let's get started. First things first. To even begin to solve this mystery, you have to get one thing straight. In Arabic, gender, or what's called Jins, is split into two big categories. This is the most fundamental distinction, and it's where our whole investigation kicks off.
And you know, the difference is actually pretty simple. On one side, you've got hakiki jins. That's real or natural gender. It's just based on biology. A man, masculine. A woman, feminine. Super straightforward. But then you have ghair hakiki jins, or grammatical gender. And this is for all the inanimate stuff, like a pen or a chair. Their gender isn't based on reality, it's just assigned based on linguistic rules and convention.
So let's start with the low-hanging fruit, the easy part of our case, natural gender. This is where everything makes perfect sense and the rules are a piece of cake. Okay, the number one rule here is all about agreement. See, in English, we can say a beautiful boy and a beautiful girl, and the word beautiful doesn't change at all. But not in Arabic, no way. In Arabic, the adjective absolutely has to change to match the noun's gender. So if the noun is masculine, the adjective has to be masculine. And if the noun is feminine, you guessed it, the adjective has to be feminine too. And check out how easy it is. Let's take the masculine adjective jamil, which means beautiful. You want to make it feminine? You just pop this little symbol, the ta marbuta, right on the end. And boom, jamil becomes jamila. It's a really clear visual cue that tells you, hey, we're talking about something feminine now.
Okay, so we've handled the obvious cases. That was the warm-up. But what about our original mystery, the book, kitab? Or what about a car, a house? This, my friends, is where the real detective work kicks in. How in the world do we figure out the gender of things that don't have one?
And this quote right here, it really gets to the heart of it. Grammatical gender has nothing to do with logic. It's all about convention. What speakers just decided over hundreds of years. I mean, think about it. In Karachi, a motorcycle is treated as feminine, but head over to Punjab, and it's masculine. That tells you everything you need to know. We can't just guess or rely on what feels right. We need to find the actual rules of the game.
All right, let's start gathering some evidence. Our first big set of clues are the ones you can physically see, right there in the writing. These are the written signs that can totally give away a noun's gender, just at a glance.
So the Arabic language has these three little secret markers. They're called Muannas al-alamati, which just means feminine signs. And here's the deal. If you spot one of these signs at the end of a word, you've got yourself a prime suspect. It's almost certainly a feminine noun.
Okay, here are the clues you're looking for. Clue number one, the tam arbita. That's that little round T we've already seen, like in the word Jannah, for garden. Clue number two, an aleph followed by a hamza right at the end. You see this a lot in colors, like hamra for red. And clue number three, the aleph maksura. It kind of looks like a ya but with no dots, like in kubra, which means greater. If you spot any of these, ding ding ding, you're almost definitely looking at a feminine word. But hold on. Just like in any good detective story, there are always a few red herrings, right? That ta marbuta, as good of a clue as it is, isn't 100% foolproof. There are some words, usually for really important male roles like Khalifa, a caliph, or Alama, a great scholar, they end in that letter, but they are absolutely masculine. So you've got to stay on your toes. Okay, so we've covered the clues you can see. Now let's talk about the clues you have to hear. These aren't signs written into the word itself. Nope. These are categories of words that you just have to learn by listening to how people talk. There's a name for this group, Muannas sama'i, which literally translates to feminine by hearing. How cool is that? So, what exactly are you listening for? Well, think of them as these special clubs or categories of words that are pretty much always treated as feminine.
For instance, the names of countries and cities? Feminine. Words for fire like nar or jahannam? Feminine. What about body parts that come in pairs? Your eyes, your hands, your ears? An, yad? Yep, also feminine. The list goes on. Names for wind, for wine, even most letters of the Arabic alphabet. It's the kind of stuff native speakers just grow up knowing, and now you're in on the secret.
And this is the master key. This is how you solve almost every other case that comes your way. It's a simple process of elimination. Here's how you do it. Step 1, look for one of those 3 written signs. Nothing there? Okay. Step 2, ask yourself, does it belong to one of those feminine by hearing categories? If the answer is still no, then by default, the noun is masculine. That's it. So, let's go back to our original mystery, the word kitab, for book. Does it have a feminine sign? Nope. Is it a country or a body part or a name for fire? Nope. Case closed. Kitab is masculine.
So great! We've figured out how to identify a noun's gender. We've cracked the code. But so what? Why does any of this actually matter? Well, this isn't just some boring grammar exercise. Getting the gender right is absolutely 100% fundamental if you want to speak and write Arabic properly.
Here's why it's so crucial. A noun's gender literally determines how it can change its shape inside a sentence. You know how the ending of a word can change depending on if it's the subject or the object of the sentence? That's a process called declension. Well, gender is what decides how many different forms that noun can even take. It's a huge deal.
And this table right here, this really shows you the aha moment. Take a real gender noun, something like kafir, which means a disbeliever. Because this can be a man or a woman, it has both masculine and feminine versions. That gives it a grand total of 6 possible forms it can take. But now look at a grammatical gender noun like dar, a house. It's feminine just because, well, because it is. It doesn't have a male counterpart. And that slashes the number of possible forms right in half. It only has 3.
Let's just look at that one more time. For kafir, you've got 3 forms for the masculine and 3 forms for the feminine. That's your 6 variations. But for dar, because it's only grammatically feminine and there's no such thing as a masculine house, you're stuck with just 3 forms. And that is why you absolutely have to identify the gender first. It's the only way to know which grammatical roads are even open for that word.
And there you have it. The case of Arabic gender is officially closed. We now know how to tell the difference between real and grammatical gender, how to spot those written clues, and what to listen for with the spoken rules. And we know that figuring out a noun's gender isn't just some neat party trick, it's literally the key that unlocks the whole structure of an Arabic sentence. Which, makes you wonder, what other hidden rules are out there in the language, just waiting for a curious detective to come along and uncover them?